Vayakhel, Parshat Vayakhel. So anyone who look on this Parshiyot, it seems that Parashat Kitisa is in the middle of nowhere. First you have the Tzivui in the first two Parashot, Trumat Tetzaveh. We have the Tzivuim, how to build the Mishkan. And then the actual building of the Mishkan is in Parashat Vayakhel, Pikudeh, where Parashat Kitisa of Chet HaEgel seems to be in Takua, said in Hebrew. In the middle of nowhere, stuck over there. מה הקשר בין פרשת כתיסה between those four parshiyot?
Is there ever a good time for Chitlim?
What?
Is there ever a good time?
There is a good time. That's a good time.
Isn't Rashi saying that there's or like something in the Parsha that we see?
Pshatim. We come to see a new pshat, Shlomi. There are pshatim.
Huh?
There are pshatim. We come to see a new pshat. Okay, so let's start here. Vayakhel Moshe et kol adat bnei Yisrael vayomer aleim. Parshat Vayakhel, first pasuk. Vayakhel Moshe.
Sorry?
Why Parashat Kitisa? Why Parashat Kitisa? It's stuck between the parshiyot of the Mishkan. Between, אמרנו את זה ביחד. תרומת תצווה, פתאום כתיסה, ואז ויקהל פיקודי. The pasuk begin, ויקהל משה את כל הדת בני ישראל. ויאמר עליהם, אלה הדברים אשר ציווה אדוני לעשות אותם. Those are the things that Hashem command to do them. Very interesting way to present the Shabbat. First is Vayakhel. The only time we have the word Vayakhel is by Hakhel. Every 7 years we got to gather everybody. What's the pshat Vayakhel over here to give them the message of Shabbat?
To be mekel? To be mekel?
Now we have few descriptions of the commandment. Vayomer aleim, ele hadvarim, asher tziva Hashem, la'asot otam. So he told them, those are the things that Hashem tziva, commanded. should say asher tziva Hashem, נכון? asher tziva Hashem, la'asot otam, to make them. What is the change of the leshonot between אלה הדברים אשר ציווה השם לעשות אותם? Next פסוק, ששת ימים תעשה מלאכה. וביום השביעי יהיה לכם קודש, שבת שבתון לאדוני, כל העושה בו מלאכה יומת. So ששת ימים תעשה מלאכה, simple question, everybody asks why it's called תעשה מלאכה. It should be says תעשה, you shall do. Not תעשה המלאכה. Not the mass, the מלאכה should be done, should be
you shall do it.
כן, זה לא נתפעל תעשה, rather is יפעל, כן, will do the מלאכה. So that's the right way to be in life. תעשה, you shouldn't work. But מה זה פשט? שש ימים תעשה מלאכה, instead of יעשה מלאכה. וביום השביעי, in the seventh day, יהיה לכם קודש, שבת שבתון להשם. So, יום השביעי will be קודש, it's Shabbat for Hashem. כל העושה בו מלאכה יומת. This is the, we have an, I think it's the first time we introduced to Mita, to death, here in this Parshiyot. We're talking about the day, this is when Moshe come back from the Shamayim. We have already, why here the Torah needs to mention, if you do work, you're dead. It's very harsh for the message of Shabbat. This is when we're being introduced to the message of Shabbat. Why the Torah is presenting it here? We have plenty of parshiyot to give. Giving the message of Shabbat and telling you're going to die if you're not going to do it takes away from the message of Shabbat. You understand my problem? When you come here after coming back from Har Sinai, you're supposed to come with a positive message. Come, keep Shabbat. No,
I think the opposite.
That's a generation today.
Huh?
That's just today. Everybody's soft.
No, but in general, yeah, you're right. But, מה אתה אומר? ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת?
It says it multiple places.
בפרק א' פסוק י"ד, ושמרתם את השבת כקודש היא להשם, כקודש היא לכם וכלה מות יומת, וכל העושה במלאכה ולכתה נפש אין ימשיך לדבר.
Okay, אתה צודק. So now I have a good question. We already said mot yumat on Shabbat. Why do we need the Torah to say it again over here? Shkoyach.
Well,
Then you have
this
even a
time maybe
better
it's-
question. This whole Parsha is extra.
Yeah, we don't need it בכלל, we
have
know.
5 Parshas saying the same exact thing.
נכון.
Wait, isn't this
What
time
did it
like
say
right
over
after
there?
Har Sinai though?
That's right, Sinai,
That's
yeah.
what it is. Other times it's been other times.
No, but Kitisa was right after Har Sinai. It was after Har Sinai the Kitisa. So why, if we know already that it's Mot Yuma, the Torah needs to emphasize here Mot Yuma. Shkoyach, Reb Amram.
The first time was before Chet Hayom?
זה היה מסמוכה הרב.
So, אין מוקדם מאוחר בתורה, I'm not so sure exactly what's before, but we have already that message already last week Parsha. Repeating it again seems to be unnecessary. Also, it's not like you said, Ariel, it's not in today, you know. You want to give, try to give warm kite, you know, geschmack. But now you're going to die. Hello, easy, Mara, בסדר, no? And,
But it's Parsha.
huh?
I'm saying it's Parsha because they come off a chet of Egel, so Rosh Hashanah now be very.
No, they went to Balagan, איפה? Chet Egel was enough of tragedy,
Yeah, you
Aziz.
gave them the kafa.
Okay, now we have a special thing we're learning. The Torah says why Shabbat juxtaposed to the Mishkan, to teach you that Melechet HaMishkan אינה דוחה את השבת. So it always confused me as a kid. עבודה במשכן דוחה את השבת.
באמת?
Working in the משכן, servicing קורבנות דוחה את השבת. בניית המשכן, it's not דוחה את השבת. למה לא? Why building משכן is less than...
39 melachot.
Huh?
39 melachot.
From the building of the משכן.
Oh, it's all building?
Yes.
Like tzviyah is also... Oh, it's for the sake of the...
So
So why דווקא בניין בית המקדש will not be דוחה שבת, and the actual korbanot and everything will be obviously דוחה שבת? There is a scary Yerushalmi. I'm telling you, one of the most Medrash Pli Yerushiva used to say, like, wonder Yerushalmi. It says, איפה כתוב אלה פה? אלה הדברים אשר ציווה השם לעשות אותם. So the Gemara in Shabbat says, אלה is gematria kama? 36. So the Gemara in Shabbat says, דברים 2, הדברים 1 more, so 3. 3 plus 36, 39. That's the Gemara in Bavli, Shabbat. The Yerushalmi brings the following. אלה, א', he says ככה, א', גימטריה 1, למד 30, ה' 9. Why? אמרו את הלשון הזה, שלא נמנעים רבנן למדרש ה' לחטא. חכמים are not holding themselves to דורש instead of ה', it should be חטא. We have a כלל that some אותיות מתחלפות. Some אותיות are usually interchangeable. So therefore, hey and chet, it's a similar letter. So Chachamim have no problem to make the hey into chet and you have to hinay melachot. אם מישהו היה אומר את זה בבית מדרש, היה מקבל מכות. Right? So מה אנחנו talking about? גם לא, גם ספרדי, גימטריות, אחי, זה מוגזם. it's So what's going on over here? How can you barely learning gematria from psukim? It's already, קודש יהיה בנזיר, יהיה בגימטריה 30 יום, everybody asks, מה יהיה עכשיו 30?
I don't understand by the way, אלה, אתה חולה ל-39.
לא, איפה אתה יודע? עם האותיות. אוקיי, בסדר, אבל לא אומר, אלה חכמים לא נמנעים, מה זה, לא נמנע אותם? מה קורה פה? לא נמנעים רבנן למדרש ה' לחטא. That's really unbelievable. There is another מחילתא. The מחילתא says, כתוב קודש היא, וביום השביעי יהיה לכם קודש. השם said, by the way, it's קודש to you, not to me. למה לא? Because we said, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, we saying in פרשת בראשית, נכון? כי 6 ימים עשה השם את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, נכון? יפה, so Hashem also using כביכול שבת. The Mechilta says, by the way, שבת, אצלי זה חול, by me is a weekday, only by you is שבת. Hashem, well, you don't need שבת, we need, you don't need. כן, לכאורה זהו. מקדש איתו זה בעשיית מלאכה, not to do מלאכה.
וקדש אותו,
לא, יש מצוות של קידוש היום.
נכון, no, but I'm saying, Hashem is part of Shabbat. How can suddenly Hashem say, by the way, I'm not part of Shabbat? The Mechilta says, by me it's chol. He emphasizes, הלשון של המחילתא, אצלכם זה קודש, by me it's חול. מה השם ניסו אוהב את זה? by him is חול, meaning, השם has no concept of שבת בכלל. How can השם בכלל שבת? The Hashem is working during the week and he's not driving on Shabbat. לחיים on Shabbat. What's if that Hashem is חול on Shabbat?
The fact that people are still making melachos on Shabbos, so how are they making melachos without his assistance? So he's also making melachos.
So he's חול to make them do melachot, זה קשה.
Saying, like Kaddish doesn't necessarily contradict it because what's the Kaddish?
לא, but אמרתי זה כזה, ביום השביעי שבת, השם שבת ביום השביעי. ביום השביעי שבת מכל מלאכתו. השם שבת לכאורה, is part of the מנוחה.
Right, and everything that,
Maybe it's
also
different.
that everything that we do, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, no? HaKadosh Baruch Hu מקיים את כל התורה כולה, כמו שאנחנו מקיימים.
So it's got to do, yeah, it got to rest, נכון?
Made the Shabbat.
Rabbi, maybe it's different time zones. Maybe different time zones.
Different time zone, yeah, okay, then by him it's
But
over.
Shem is in China and we're here. Shabbat's over
Shem is
there.
here, Hashem
No, but that's why I
is
said
here,
Shabbaton.
Hashem
Shabbat
is here.
Shabbaton.
שבת שבתון זה בשמיטה.
No, I thought Shabbat Shabbaton is like different
לא, שבת
Shabbatot.
שבתון זה no,
Shabbat.
ביום כיפור.
6 days he prays.
Okay, so the real kasha is, רבוי סי, the real kasha is, מה זה באמת שבת? What is really Shabbat? What do we need Shabbat for? You know, Shabbat is a big thing. And the Gemara says that in Shabbat, the Gemara says in Shabbat, we have neshama yetera. What's a neshama yetera for? So you can fresh, in Yiddish says. You can eat a lot, more than during the week. This is what Shabbat is about, to fresh. Neshama, I need extra neshama to... What's going on? This is what Shabbat. What's the whole idea of Shabbat? What are we trying to achieve on Shabbat? So the introduction for Shabbat is begin in Chumash Bereshit. יום השישי, no, that's the end, סגורה. ויחולו השמיים והארץ.
יום השישי שיהיו בריאים.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ, וכל צבע. כן, כן, אף אחד לא לקח את זה בסוף. יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבעם, השם פיניש שמיים וכל צבעם, ויחל אלוקים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה. So Rashi brings over here, it's גמרא in מגילה, מה היה העולם חסר? מנוחה. בת שבת, בת מנוחה, קלטה ונגמרה המלאכה. So when Hashem created the world was missing, he created everything, but it was missing menucha. So when Shabbat came, we have the menucha. What's the menucha that the world is missing, that Hashem needs to create it, to make it on Shabbat? Shabbat menucha. What's the word idea of menucha? Okay, Shabbat you rest. Okay, shkoyach. Obviously, you know. What's that? The world was missing the rest on Shabbat, and Hashem creates Shabbat so you can rest. What is missing in the Shabbat, in the resting that we didn't have before? It seems like an element that the world needs to have. Shabbat, basically, we're not doing any work, right? We refrain from work. So it's not something, we're not active, we are, what's opposite? Passive. So what the world sounds like missing, Hashem create a new thing into Shabbat of Menucha. So think in the following. When we are working during the day, what do we get out of our work? We make money, make bread, make food. Bnei Israel, going back to Chet HaEgel, when Bnei Israel had problem why Hashem didn't send Moshe on time. We spoke about that, and we said last week, we spoke about the concept of Chet HaEgel, that the issue of the Erev Rav, the reason the Erev Rav they changed from became Jews, they convert, because they used to worship their Avodah Zarah. When you worship your Avodah Zarah, it's you're taking care of your Avodah Zarah. When suddenly they saw that Hashem is the one is taking care of Bnei Israel, they were excited. They see that Hashem was taking care of Israel, they were excited. Lama, they were excited? Because this is a God who's taking care of us instead of us taking care of Him. After Matan Torah, there was a switch. Suddenly they see that this God who took care of us demands, you gotta keep Torah and mitzvot. When they see that Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't show up, we explained there were two ways to calculate the time of Moshe Rabbeinu arrival. Either 40 days since the day he left, or we start counting from the day after. Because the day he left was missing the night before, and the day after we'll have night and the day. Now, until Matan Torah, everybody calculate Yom Valayla lo yishbotu. First you day, and then you have the night. After Matan Torah, we converted to Vayekhel Vayiboker, that the day begins from the night, not from the day. So all of the cheshbonot that we have, a goy, his day begins from the day and then night. They live their life as goyim up to Matan Torah. During Matan Torah, Hashem converted us to be Jews, He demand from us. So they said, when they see in Chet HaEgel that Hashem didn't go by the cheshbon of Chet HaEgel, of their cheshbon, because their cheshbon was from the day he left, rather He went by His cheshbon, meaning God cares about Himself and He doesn't care about us. Nachon? Therefore, they create the Avodah Zarah. What's the gain of doing Avodah Zarah? You have to take care of Avodah Zarah. Nachon? Isn't it better when God takes care of you? Very simple. When you deal with Avodah Zarah, you are in control. You telling the Avodah Zarah how you want to connect to the Avodah Zarah. But when you're dealing with Hashem, who is in control? Hashem. Because Hashem is telling you what to bring to Him. If somebody forcing you to bring something to Him, you feel He's controlling me. But when you taking care of the Avodah Zarah, you are in control over here. The issue that we are facing after Chet HaEgel, people have lack of satisfaction from the work. The only way they got the feeling of satisfaction is by controlling something else. That's Avodah Zarah, or God is giving them. But to service Hashem, to do the mitzvot and Torah on Hashem, they didn't want to do. We want to be in control. What's the reason they didn't want to do the Torah and mitzvot? Where do you gain? What's the feeling of Torah and mitzvot? This is the point of Shabbat. When we work during the week, we are sucked into the work, we are into it, our week flies around us. How much do you relate between the work to yourself?
Not much.
You understand the question? How much you connect between the actual work that you do to yourself? You know, sometime after a whole day of work, okay, what happened today? Everything we experience, we go throughout our week, we don't feel it that it's part of who we are. If you don't transfer the work during the week to be part of you, you will never be satisfied with all of your work and effort.
What does that mean?
That's a good question. But if you don't transfer the work, you work hard during the week, how do you make it part of you? How do I identify you, connect, to be proud of your work and to understand that was your creation, your work. Your work, we spin around during the week. What do you do? רק הקדוש ברוך הוא שאין העולם חסר אלא מנוחה. What's מנוחה? מנוחה, the Gemara says in Shabbat, בא שבת, בא מנוחה, יהיה בעיניך כאילו כל מלאכתך עשויה. You should treat in your eyes that all of your work have been done. Shabbat, it's the transition from taking the work and making it belong to me. It's part of me. How do you make work to be part of you? What makes the person the feeling that it's part of him? Why Avodah Zarah it's a good feeling? Because I'm in control. If you control your work, it's part of you. If you don't control your work, it cannot be part of you. It's something external out of your life. Shabbat is the day that you control your work. You decide that now I'm not doing any work, I'm not doing any melacha. It's a form of control that you feel satisfied with yourself. The highest feeling of satisfaction is a control. A person who controls himself. Nachon? Somebody decides to do diet, he doesn't eat. He's a diet and he's not going to eat. Somebody stops smoking. You feel the work, you feel the satisfaction only when you control your action. An action without control, it's not your action, it's something else, somebody else. That's what the Gemara says. כל עבודה זרה, כל הכועס כאילו עובד. Because מה זה עבודה זרה? Something not in your control. Control means you convert the work to be part of you. Shabbat,
So Avodah Zarah is your
No,
control.
Avodah Zarah meaning you're not in control of yourself. You let yourself to others. That's what Avodah Zarah.
That's what Avodah Zarah you're saying?
That's on that point of kas. Kas, it's not you. It's out of you.
Right.
Shabbat
Why
means.
Dafka after Chet HaEgel they wanted to gain control?
So on Chet HaEgel, what they were missing on Chet HaEgel was that they had no sense of successful in their life. So how do they satisfy their feeling? By controlling others. What they were controlling? The Avodah Zarah, the idols. Now the remedy for Chet HaEgel is to create a feeling of achievement, of success. That can be created only if you're the one who control your work. You control yourself. Therefore, the Torah says, Sheshet Yamim Te'aseh Melacha. When you do the work, the Melacha is done, but it's not you. You're right that you're the physical person who's doing the end. Only Shabbat converting the Te'aseh Melacha into your own Melacha. You know why do we need on Shabbat Neshama Yitera? The purpose of Shabbat is self or satisfaction. You got to feel good about yourself. What's the best way that people feel good about themselves? Food. Shabbat is a day that you got to take care of yourself. People who don't appreciate food, the people cannot appreciate themselves. An appreciation for food, for wagyu, for the fat milk, it's a feeling. When you appreciate for something, you have an appreciation for yourself. Ben Sorer Umoreh, the Gemara says, what's the definition of Ben Sorer Umoreh? He needs to eat wine, not quality wine, cheap wine, and cheap meat. Someone who drinks cheap, doesn't hold of himself, eventually he will go down. There is no remedy. Someone who lives on a high lifestyle, he hold of himself, he can reach a high level. On Shabbat, we have a responsibility, Dafka, we got to eat meat. We got to eat fish. We got to eat food that we can connect, we can relate to ourselves. All of the identity of ourselves begins and ends on Shabbat. Therefore, Bniyat HaMishkan lo docha Shabbat. What's the purpose of building the Mishkan? We're creating a place that Hashem can live. Who's creating the place? Hashem can just throw the Mishkan from the Shamayim. That will be Bet Mikdash Lishi, and you have a Mishkan. We are creating it for Him. Now listen, if we are not resting on Shabbat, did we ever create the Mishkan? No, because we never relate the work to ourselves. Therefore, Bniyat Mishkan לא יכולה לדחות את השבת, cannot do Shabbat. Because the whole idea of the Mishkan is to feel that we are building it to Hashem. If you don't stop on Shabbat, you don't feel it's yours, so you never build anything to Hashem. So therefore, Bniyat Mishkan is not Doche Shabbat. Servicing in the Mishkan, it's not a feeling of creation. It's just serving it, bringing it to Hashem at the time. It's not a creation that can be Doche Shabbat.
I don't understand that. How is the building? You
building, it's your creation. Servicing, the Gemara says, Kahane shluche de Rachman aninu, the shluchim of Hashem. The actual Akravat Korban is kivyachol for Hashem. Building the Mishkan, it's for us, for our feeling of satisfaction. And therefore, building should be in our control. Yeah. We must rest and stop on Shabbat. The whole idea of Shabbat, it's a feeling of creation. You feel you have the ability to create. Therefore, the Mechilta says that the Chachamim had the tool to take the Ele and to convert the A into Chet. What's the Pshat? Chachamim has a feeling, have a sense, have an ability of creation. On Shabbat, they fulfill their creation. They take a hay and they create it into something else. Because on Shabbat, it's a form of creation. Chachamim has the ability to convert reality. The Gemara says in Masechet Makot that there was someone who get up for כמה טיפשה יענו אינשי, דקמי מקו גבר רבא, ולא קמי מקמי ספר תורה, ולא קמי מקמי גבר רבא. Stupid are people who get up for ספר תורה and not for תלמיד חכם. Why? פסד בסוק 40 יקנו לא יוסיף. And what does תלמיד חכם do? חכמים learn that is not מלכות, it's חסר אחת. לא יוסיף, that means don't reach to 40. So it's 39 מלכות. חכמים create the reality of the Torah. Shabbat is a time of creation. Chachamim create the concept of 39 melachot. It's a creation within the Torah, taking a letter of Hey and converting it into the letter of Chet.
Just like a migo, you fit in the reality. Just like a migo, you fit in the reality to the migo.
Now, one of the biggest issues that we are facing, especially in our generation, that people don't relate to their family. People work for kids, everything. How much time do you spend with your child? How much time do you have with your kids? Are you with your kids? Are you on the phone or you're not on the phone? Where are you? Where's your place in the family? We're far away from our kids. We don't relate to them. How many people, teenagers, they have no relationship with their kids? Where is the source of it? If you cannot relate to yourself for your own creation, how can you relate to your other creation? Your kids are your creation. If you don't relate to your work, your own creation, you cannot relate to your kids.
So where's the Shabbat?
Shabbat, it's a time relate to your creation. Therefore, the Torah says, Vayakhel Moshe. What's Vayakhel? The only time we have Hakel is by the mitzvah of Hakel. And over there the Torah says, Hakel et ha'am, anashim, nashim, ve'ataf. Vayakhel, it's a time for family. Shabbat is a responsibility to invest in family. Shabbat is a time for self-definition, for satisfaction, for achievement. That's the time that you have to spend time with your family and kids. If your wife asks you to spend time during the week, you tell her, I'm sorry, only Shabbat you have to do it, Shabbat is the time that you enhance the relationship with your kids, your wife and family. That's a time when you satisfy of who you are, you can be satisfied with your wife, can be satisfied with your kids. Most men who complain about Shalom Bayit issues, most of Shalom Bayit and complain about kids begin with the parents. We have our own mitot, our own issues, and that expresses itself into the kids. If we work on ourselves, we feel good about ourselves, we have no issue. One says in Baba Metzia that the Aliskei Chitim, meaning the Gemara says that all of Shalom Bayit issues is Aliskei Chitim, the issue of Parnasa. Why? When a person has no Parnasa, he cannot connect to, he has no creation. He cannot connect to himself. When he's uncomfortable with himself, how can he be comfortable with his wife? The only way a person can be comfortable with his wife only by comfortable with yourself. You appreciate yourself, you appreciate your achievement. But with that, the most important wife, it's a wife who can validate you. Men need validation. That's why men's getting married. Every wife admire her husband, appreciate him. The Gemara says, afilu, if her husband, even if her husband is cleaning, the street, she put her couch among the chashuvot. My husband. Why? A lady look at her husband at his achievement, and she's giving him a sense of appreciation to himself. Then she giving him that feeling. Then she appreciate him also, whatever he does. We need wives to appreciate us, to build us up, to tell us, okay, you're special, you're good. That's the job of a wife. When a man goes down in his work, he doesn't do well, unfortunately, ladies giving hard time to their husband. Wow, you don't do anything, go out to work. This is the opposite of what you need. I was talking to a lady yesterday that her husband had a very difficult time in Parnasa a few years ago. And she told me that at the time, I'm telling him, Gala, tell my bite, go try it, do something. So I told her 3 years ago, it's not right what you're doing to him. Lo maspik, he has no parnasa. He has nothing to do. You're giving him a hard time? So you gotta change it. You got the opposite. You understand, you work hard, I appreciate what you do. You're trying to find job. So Baruch Hashem, in the last 3 years, because of the schut of the corona, he got very busy. So I told her, no. I said, no, don't ask, he's barely at home. And I don't see him much. I'm telling him, you gotta come home. I'm like, look, 3 years ago you complained, you kick him out of the house, okay? Now you're complaining he's at home. You cannot win. But suddenly he feels successful, he feels good about himself, and then she wants him to be home. And the pshat is very simple. I mean, she is nuts. You want him to be out of the house, and then suddenly, no, be in the house. There were two different husbands. That husband, loser, she didn't want to be in the house. Get out, do something. Now you're successful, you're good, I want to be next to you, I want to be around you. Yeah. Shabbat is a moment of a feeling of success. It's a feeling of achievement. I convert my work during the week into reality. I define that this is me. I want to be around my family. We got to put the effort to make sure that the family will benefit from us. That's why I think it says the punishment, Kol ha'oseh bo melacha, yumat. What's the yumat over here? What's the death? Someone who's working on Shabbat is dead. If you don't have any way to take a break from your work, if you're not in control of yourself, so you are a slave. You are nothing. The whole idea of Shabbat is the opposite of death. Anyone who doesn't keep Shabbat, what yumat? I'm sounding like Rav Yossi Mizrahi, nachon? Genom, you're gonna be worthless. But that's the idea.
River now.
Unfortunately,
Rabbi, what if people, you know, like,
in a miserable way unless you donate to my foundation.
I know people like that tell me, you know, like, oh no, my relaxation is to go to the mall, walk around, you know.
You're not in control. You're not in control. The idea being controlling yourself. We spoke last night. We had a question and answer. So I had my assistant over there, Jacob, and he says, Kishin Shabbat, it's hard. What did he say? He said something, a better word than hard.
The only thing you shouldn't do is keep Shabbat.
Why? It's difficult. Yeah, it's hard. When you need to control yourself, when you gotta stop smoking, when you gotta do something, it's hard. It's difficult. But when you achieve it, when you're already beyond that, you feel good. You feel satisfied. You feel good about yourself. Getting up early in the morning, it's hard. But when you achieve it, what do you feel about yourself? You control it.
Terrible. I feel tired. I've been doing it for the past...
Look, still today I get up in the morning many times like, what's wrong with me, you know? You're so tired, yeah. But the feeling, the 5 minutes after, not the moment that you get up from the bed, you know?
Never.
And that's a mistake. Everybody defines you to get up or not on the minute they wake up. You should postpone it 5 minutes. Get up. If in 5 minutes you want to go back, go back. Okay, some people it's not going to work.
Stop the video.
It's like a golden
Some people
pass.
go to sleep in the car after Shacharit. But
No, but Rabbi, you know, Rabbi, it's
after Stein crash.
Rabbi, it's true because like, let's say if you wake up at like 11:30, like 5 minutes later you feel so disgusting. You feel like you're guilty.
Yeah, but
Nachon,
waking
nachon,
up
you
at
feel,
8
yeah,
o'clock,
you're not in
perfect.
control. You're not in control. If you don't wake up on time, just go 9:30 anyway, because anyway you feel loser. So at least enjoy the sleeping.
To get up and look in the mirror.
So this is the solution of a feeling of
Connection.
Avodah Zarah, all of the difficulties in life. Take the control. Shabbat Menucha. It's a time. If your wife telling you you shouldn't sleep, I don't know. That's the whole idea of Shabbat. I'm controlling my pillow. I'm controlling my day. It's about me. I'm talking about it because I'm dealing with it at home. You know, I have my times of sleeping on Shabbat, and you have the responsibility. After all, be with the kids. As much as Shabbat Menucha, part of the control is Vayakhel, spending time with the family, spending time with the kids. Make sure Shabbat is a time people build themselves. Last point is Shabbat table is crucial. I've been in people in Shabbat table, and you see that there is a lot of people are they're losing it on Shabbat table. What's going on in Shabbat table? They talk about politics, about shtuyot, about Putin, that he didn't get up on the right mood in the morning, about all this nonsense. Shulchan Shabbat, it's a time of achievement, of satisfaction. We are lucky that our kids come up with homework, nachon, the Shabbat sheet, you know. One of the teacher last year, on that I have to admit that he exaggerated. 3 pages, 20 questions, his question, 6 options. And my daughter did everything every Shabbat, you know, it was half in the morning, you know, Abba, בבוקר יש בחורים, אני לא יכולה. In the morning we have some guys. So at night, but that's a feeling of achievement for them. It's a time to give our people. You know who's the most getting feeling of achievement on Shabbat?
Who's the one?
Who's getting the most feeling of achievement?
Children.
The wife.
Oh, never mind.
The wife. That's a time to say, wow, as a dog, as a. That's a time to give her a sense of achievement. All of the effort. I know a guy told me that, you know, his father-in-law used to say, אני לא מאחל לשונאים שלי כזה דג, כזה gefilte fish. אפילו דיבר על gefilte fish. That I don't wish my enemy is such a gefilte fish. עכשיו, מה כבר יכול להיות בgefilte fish? You know, what it can be. But still, it's a feeling that you give, not trying to give hard time to, you have Jewish wife. But it's a feeling, I don't. It's a feeling.
Still have gefilte fish.
You still have gefilte
Still
fish?
right now.
Good, yeah.
No, but you do.
Huh?
Your wife would ask you, my
yeah,
wife is
Hashem
pregnant.
Merachem Alai, you know. So it's a feeling, it's a time to get people, your wife asks you, do you need salt? What does she want from you? No, it's amazing, it's great. We're like chamorim, no, lo tzarich. She didn't ask you for salt, she asked you for compliment. She asked it on the form, do you need salt? You say, oh, perfect, bwana, yatsa mashu, That's what validate them. Shabbat is a time of validation, make people feel good, make their wife feel good, or our kids feel good, and the most important, it begins, make ourselves feel good. But